What's up, guys? Higgins in Japan here with another edition of the Friday video. The Friday video is the video that I make right here in my car on the way home from work. Except none of that is true. I'm actually headed to Daiso, and it's not Friday, it's Saturday afternoon. So already starting off the show with lies, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It has been a while since I've done a Friday video, and this time I have no excuse other than my own laziness, and maybe a little bit of the I don't care about YouTubes anymore. I don't know. It's weird. Somebody asked me the other day if I had a Patreon, and I don't, for numerous reasons. One of which just being the fact that I don't feel like this channel is worthy of a Patreon. Listen, if you guys want to throw money at me, go for it. But I do not have a Patreon, and the thing is, currently the rate at which I put these videos out doesn't really warrant a Patreon. Hey, listen, if you want to send me a message and say, hey, I really like what you're doing, I want to send you, a couple bucks, hey, go for it. But like, honestly, it's not necessary, because when I think about it, like the videos that I make driving home from work, there's not anything that goes into that, right? And I haven't been able to do the types of videos that I really wanted to do, which are videos that do show a bit of Japan in a different way, or there's a couple series of things that I've wanted to make. I've gone as far as writing out. No, that's not the word. Writing out. That's the word I'm looking for. Writing out like kind of like a video proposal type thing of like an idea and going through the steps of what I want to do. And I just don't do it because I don't have the time. And at some point in the future, if I, grow the channel out and feel that it's necessary to do a Patreon, you guys will be the first to know. And hey, at that point, donate. But that's not where we're at right now today, and you know what? I'm okay with that, because honestly, my channel is gotten to the point where it's just me eating random food and doing these videos, which I need to get back to doing. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done a Friday video, and even now, it's all lies, right? It's not even a real Friday video. It's Saturday, and I'm going to Daiso to pick up stuff because I'm making cornbread. That's right, you heard it here first, unless I've already told you in person, in which case, then you're not hearing it first. And again, lies. So many lies, Higgins, in and around Japan. But yeah, so went to the grocery store the other day. There's a shop in the mall, actually, so it's not a grocery store. I just can't stop lying. There's the shop in the mall that has, it's kind of like an import grocery store, and they have all sorts of stuff from all over around the world, and found cornmeal, which is kind of hard to find here in Japan. So I'm off to Daiso to buy a couple of things. I need like a proper baking dish, and some other little things that I'm going to pick up at Daiso. And yeah, but let's stop wasting time. It's already 4 minutes into this video, and I've not actually started talking about what I wanted to talk about, and that's talking about working here in Japan. I came across an article written by James over at the ALT Insider website. I'll put a link to it in the description below, talking about complaining about your job. And if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know that I try not to complain about my job, but that's changing today. Now, I'm not complaining about my current job by any stretch of the imagination. I have a excellent job, and so far, knock on wood, that's not wood, but anyways, everything has been great. And but I do want to complain about my previous job, and I do want to complain about kind of teaching jobs in Japan in general, and kind of give you guys a heads up / word of warning / hey, this is my experience, your experience may vary. Talk about teaching in Japan, because the article not complaining about your job. It talks about basically the basic idea of the article, and you can go read it and tell me if I'm wrong, and I probably read it wrong, but is about dispatch companies and people complaining about dispatch companies. And as far as I know, I've not made a video where I complained about working for a dispatch company, complaining about the things in my contract. Now, at first, there were some things that bothered me. And then I went back and I looked and I went, you know what? This was in the contract. It was my job to read the contract. And if I didn't read the contract, excuse me, if I didn't read the contract and I signed it, then that's my own stupidity, right? Like, if there was something that I questioned or didn't agree with or just didn't understand, signing a contract like that and just then complaining about it is kind of stupid. Not saying that they would actually do anything about it or change any aspect of the contract, but maybe they would have given me more clarity on a specific issue or topic in the contract, right? So that's what the article's talking about. But I think the thing that I want to do is complain / warn you guys, because I've gotten messages from people saying, I want to come to Japan, I want to be a teacher, how do I do that? Like, you're an idiot, you did it, so how can I do it? And like the thing is, it's like really easy to get hired by a dispatch company, right? Mostly because a lot of them don't have the highest requirements, right? Like, they don't even require, some of them, that you have any sort of English teaching background or any kind of degree in actual teaching. Like, they will just hire anyone with a bachelor's degree. Now, granted, there are companies out there that are looking for people with certain degrees or certain specifications or specialities, that sort of thing. And so, just to like throw them all under the bus and say like all dispatch companies are X, Y, and Z, like that's, irresponsible. So I will try not to make generalizations like that. But I probably will make generalizations like that. Anyways, but the bar to getting into a dispatch company is very low. And so when they are going to fill a contract for a city, they need, X amount of contracts. Well, if they need 10 contracts, they're going to find 10 people. And whether those people have, let's just go through the list of things that people can have, right? An education in teaching, or an education in, working with students, or, maybe none of that stuff applies. They will just grab 10 people and say, you're in this town. And what that does is that leads to a lot of problems, because not that you can't be a good teacher without having a degree in teaching, not that you can't be a good teacher without having some sort of experience working with students. It does help, but oftentimes you get people that don't have those experiences and that don't know this, just things that, if you've had teaching classes or you've had experience in a classroom, some of those things just kind of come normally or come naturally to you. If this happens, I need to do this. If a student has this approach to a question, I can, change my lesson this way. Like, some of those things just come naturally, and that's just because of, like, my experience in the classroom and my abilities and the classes that I took. Like, I know how to think on that level, and some people don't. And not saying that you can't get there. It just takes time, right? So to kind of expect someone that has no experience to be this like A+, world-class English teacher is kind of irresponsible. But so what happens is you get all these people that they really want to come to Japan, right? And eikaiwas and dispatch companies, I don't want to say they prey on people, but they prey on people that really want to come to Japan, right? You really want to come to Japan? Well, here's what you get to do when you come to Japan. And there's a lot of things that they don't tell you about working in Japan or living in Japan. There's a lot of things that they don't tell you. A lot of things about your contract that they gloss over and don't answer questions about unless you kind of really get down and ask them about it, right? So some of those things would be telling you up front. I was told you only have to work 29.5 hours a week, right? You don't have to work 40 hours a week. I'm like, wow, that's great. I'm getting paid X amount of dollars. The company that I worked for, they paid more than other dispatch companies did. They're ranked pretty high among dispatch companies. But they tell you straight up, hey, 29.5 hours a week, that's all you gotta work. They don't tell you that because you're only working 29.5 hours a week, you come under the full-time rule, right? You're not a full-time employee at that point of a company. Any time over that, you become a full-time employee, which then grants you, because of Japanese law, certain things like the company has to pay part of your health insurance. The company has to pay part of your pension. There's certain things that by law they're required to do, right? And say that they don't tell you this during the initial interview process, right? They don't explain to you that you're technically not a full-time employee, and so you don't get the benefits of, say, anybody else that works in that company, right? Because your manager's getting full-time. The people that work in the office are getting full-time, right? They're getting those benefits, right? You're not. But then on top of that, you get to Japan, you get in the wrong lane, you switch back over to the right lane. You get here and you sign your contract and you realize, oh, I actually have to be at work for 40 hours a week, but I'm only getting paid for 29.5 hours a week. Now that doesn't add up, right? Like, that's weird. That shouldn't be the way it is. And unbeknownst to me, it is a mystery. It has been a mystery to me for many years how they get away with this. And I don't know if it's a lack of caring by the Japanese government, if it's a lack of knowledge. The Board of Education doesn't know, the city doesn't know that that's what they're doing. I honestly don't know what it is. And it could be a culmination of all those things, or it could just be the fact that, hey, you can't vote in this country, so a politician's not going to care whether or not you're getting jerked around at your job, because it doesn't matter, because you're not one of his constituents, right? You're paying your taxes, but you're not getting his vote, right? So that could be what this all boils down to, right? Like the whole thing. But let's try not to get too political here in this. But the thing is, they don't tell you that, hey, you're going to actually have to be at work 40 hours a week. For me, I was coaching. Now, granted, nobody asked me to. I'm sure that there were people that were like, why is he coaching? Nobody at the company that I worked for asked me to. They didn't require me to. But I was doing that all on my own, and I wasn't getting paid for any of that. If I went to a softball practice on a Saturday, or a game on a Saturday or Sunday, I was not getting paid for that. If I stayed past the time that I was supposed to leave, which I did every day, I was not getting paid for that, right? That was on me, right? So I can only blame myself for that, right? I can only say, like, oh, that was my own stupid fault for wanting to be involved with the school and wanting to help out with the students and, interact with students on another level other than just the English classroom. Like, that's my fault, right? So I shouldn't expect to get paid for that. But the days that I stayed till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, the Saturdays that I came in at 5:30, 6 o'clock when we had games, the times when I traveled to other locations, that was all on me. And so I understand that. That's, nobody forced me to do that. But what I don't understand is the 29.5 hours that they require you to be at school. But then on top of that, they kind of also require you to be there 40 hours a week, right? So they want you to look like you're a real teacher. They want you to pretend like you're a real teacher. They just don't want to pay you like you're a real teacher, right? And hey, I get it. They got to eat too, right? Like, it's kind of like the whole, like, they're getting you the job, and so you gotta you gotta pay the middleman, right? Like the city pays them, they take their cut, they pay you. I just wish that like they were more open and honest about the ways that they were screwing you over, because I think that maybe people would start to look at that and go, that's not really a good thing to do for more than a couple of years, right? And that's the other thing, right? The turnover rate is so ridiculously high. I knew people that didn't even make it months, working for the company. I knew people that would quit before summer vacation, people that would work there for a year and leave, right? The fact that I worked there for 5 years is crazy, but I did. Is this the turn that I want? I don't think this is. I do this every time. Yeah, this is right. So the turnover rate is so high that they can afford to not care, right? Like if you don't fit into this crazy mold of a person that is willing to get taken advantage of and willing to work long hours and be at school for hours that you're not actually doing anything, like legit just sitting at your desk not doing anything, they'll find somebody that is, right? Because again, going back to the whole idea of them preying on people, there are lines of people that want to come to Japan, and that's not gonna stop anytime soon, right? So as long as that still exists, that idea of like you're easily replaced, you have no leverage with the company, you have no say in how things are run. Like you might try to as hard as you can to fight the system, but you're gonna hit your head against the wall so many times that you're just gonna give up, and you're gonna walk away, and you're gonna say, hopefully you don't say, hey, I hate Japan because of this. Hopefully it doesn't do that, or hopefully you don't say, oh, I hate teaching now. But you definitely will look at it and say, I will never work for a dispatch company again. Like, I interviewed at multiple different places. I interviewed for Kiowa jobs. I interviewed at other dispatch companies. I interviewed at private schools. I interviewed at direct hire Board of Education jobs. And I got to the point where I was like, if I don't get any of these jobs, I'm leaving. Like, I can't, because I couldn't work for that company any longer, because it just, like I said, you hit your head against the wall so many times that you're just like, I can't do this anymore, right? Like, I can't physically, emotionally, whateverly do this anymore, because the things that they've done to me over the past 5 years, granted, might be small and insignificant. Like, it's not like other Ikawa jobs or other dispatch companies where the company goes bankrupt and they don't pay you anymore, or the company just doesn't pay you, and a lot of that stuff, thankfully, has, come and gone. You don't hear too many stories about people not getting paid for their Ikawa jobs anymore, or their dispatch company jobs, but I'm sure that stuff still exists. But like I said, you just get to the point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't, the things that they've done, the forcing me to move with no explanation, the, not helping me in certain situations where I needed help, where I was like calling them and saying like, hey, what do I do in this situation? And literally being told on the phone, I'm not really a good person to ask about this. I'm like, you're my manager. You are the person that I need to be asking about this. Like, why are you not the person that I'm supposed to be asking about this, right? So, like, just things that were little things that added up, that continued to add up over the 5 years, that I just couldn't deal with anymore. And I said, I gotta get out of here. I gotta find a place that's going to respect me, a place that's going to encourage me, a place that I'm going to feel like, hey, I like Japan, I want to work in Japan, this company wants me to keep working in Japan, thank you, sir, for letting me go. And yeah, like, you gotta find those jobs. And sometimes it takes a while, right? And I hate to say, oh, come and take a job at an Eikaiwa or a dispatch company and use it as a stepping stone, only work there for a year and then find something else, right? Because that perpetuates the cycle, right? That just keeps the cycle going of them not caring and them hiring people that don't care. And it just keeps going on, right? There's no change. And what I want to see as I wrap this up, as I pull into the parking lot of Daiso here, is I want to see dispatch companies, I want to see them care about who they hire. I want to see them, all right, go, even though I was sitting here, but you can go. I want to see them care about who they hire. I want to see them care about treating those employees with respect and dignity and giving them a reason to want to continue to work for their company, right? You shouldn't, after 5 years at a company, say, man, I don't want to be around this company. I don't want to be around these people. I don't want to recommend this company to anyone. I don't want to, right? You should leave a company on your own terms, if it's on your own terms, right? And say, hey, it was an experience. It was, good or bad, but you know what? Overall, I had a great time. Moving on to bigger and better things, right? I walked out of there just hands up in the air saying I'm done with you guys. And I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to play by the games and the rules and the things that have not been good to me, right? And that's the way it ends. And that's the way this video ends here with a shot of Daiso. I'm going to go in and buy some baking goods for my cornbread that I'm going to try to make this afternoon or this evening, depending on where else I have to stop on the way home. This has been a long video, and I really hope that 40% of it made sense. I don't know. I really hope that it made sense, and I really hope that you liked it. I hope that you watched the whole thing. If you have any other questions or comments for me, let me know in the comments section below. Check out the article, read it for yourself. Let me know what you think about that. If you have any other questions or comments, head over to facebook.com/Higgins in Japan for more. And I will catch you guys on another video that will hopefully be less than 23 minutes long. Actually, this is going to be less than 23 minutes. This is less than if I shut up, this will be less than 23 minutes. Have a good one, guys. Peace.